Hello everyone, this is Five. Today we're checking out Mistwood. This is a game I've not played before. I'm gonna give it a playtest here and see if we can give some feedback. Not much to say on the description on the game page here. It just mentions something about physics-based gameplay. I'm just gonna go ahead and jump right into this. So I've not seen anything past the screen here. I want to see if maybe we can get this into full screen. It might look slightly blurry at the moment. Looks like Alt-Enter works, so that should look a little sharper. All right, so it's got some controls mentioned on the page here, or the screen, I should say. Grab the gamepad, see if that does anything. Nope, looks like it's not responding to gamepad. So we'll do as it says. It's like WASD and IJKL. Adjust my keyboard here a little bit. All right, so. Oh. Right, controls are a little weird. First of all, we've got some inertia. You can see how I kind of accelerate, particularly changing directions. Seems like you kind of, it's almost like you stick for a little bit where it kind of decelerates then accelerates. However, sometimes it doesn't do that and it just kind of instantly changes directions. So I feel like that's a little bit buggy there. You can see, especially if I go around in circles, it kind of, I'm not losing any inertia there, but if I just try to go back and forth like this, yeah, so that feels a little funky. It's like sort of a cross between having pretty significant amount of inertia and it just not being there sometimes. A little weird because it feels like it's very sort of an very exponential sort of acceleration where it's like really slow for a few frames, like really slow, and then it accelerates quite quickly. But yeah, it definitely just makes it feel like it's less responsive. So I don't know how timing based or actiony this game is at this point, but apart from whatever bugginess might be here, I might recommend just toning down the inertia. It's generally just going to make a game feel less responsive than it would otherwise. So it mentions IJK and L as press and hold to interact. So I don't know. Oh, okay. So it looks like it throws my arms in different directions. And it looks okay. It looks like you can press hold, and then it kind of when you release the key is when it actually throws the arms there. So yeah, so the arms are a little bit slow also to kind of react to the input. The fact that it's on release kind of contributes to that a little bit, but it's also there's just like a little bit of time involved in waiting for the arms to travel outward there. Definitely makes it feel like it's a little bit slower than it would be otherwise. Yeah, it looks like it's really easy to. Huh. Okay, yeah, it's unusually hard to. Okay, sometimes you hit the ball, sometimes you grab it. Okay, so that helps to understand that because, yeah, I was expecting it to grab. Apparently, it only grabs if you hold it. But okay, yeah. So it's a little weird. It's I would not say intuitive exactly, but once you learn the logic behind it, it seems kind of okay. So I guess the idea is that if you press and release, it kind of just bumps it. If you press and hold, it'll go into this ready state, but then it won't. Like if you let go again, it'll just do the bump thing. But if you press and hold and then you walk like into range of something, then it kind of automatically grabs it. So I'm not letting off the button to do that. That's interesting. That means it's not so much about timing. It's just kind of putting yourself into position and make sure you're holding the button down, which is pretty interesting. Yeah. So Not sure at this point what the objective is. This sort of feels like it's like I'm gonna play dodgeball or something. I got these soccer balls. So I'm not sure how much you end up using this sort of bump effect. To me, the bumping, I don't know what else to call that, where you just kind of hit the ball, feels a little bit more awkward to pull off. Again, it's like a little bit slow to come out. It also doesn't reach very far, so a little bit particular with the timing and positioning to do that. Something a lot of games do. If you're talking about this isn't really an attack necessarily, but a lot of games have melee weapon attacks and such, like swords or whatever. And in general, it's usually helpful to have like a pretty considerable reach on the attack. Some older games like 8-bit era games would have sometimes they'd have like a really quite small collision on their attacks in the games like Shinobi or whatever, which made them feel kind of challenging in a way that was how do you describe this? Sort of like not necessarily difficult in the way that you want the game to be. And that's sort of a matter of taste because some people kind of like that, of course, with the old retro style games. But they don't really make games like that so much anymore because people kind of figured out that if you give a more substantial collision on these attacks, then the game is less punishing in terms of just the raw positioning of everything, and kind of lets you focus on other things because you're not worrying so much about like getting just on the right pixel in front of an enemy to hit them and that kind of thing. It's just more forgiving in that way, so you can kind of make it difficult in other ways. So kind of getting that sort of sense when I see this, because it's just like the little arms don't really reach out very far. You know what I mean? So it does look like the collision is, if I really examine it, it actually looks like the collision's a little bit further than the visual shows, which is kind of, it's nice in a way because that means that it's the actual game logic is a little bit more forgiving. Although the visuals, it would probably be helpful if the visuals kind of also demonstrated that, so the player understands that it will actually reach out a little bit further than it looks like it will. But yeah, in general, like if you want to do that kind of thing, it can be helpful to just sort of exaggerate the reach a little bit of this sort of attack, just so it's more forgiving for the player. One of those things that doesn't necessarily feel good to miss something like this. Like if you feel like you're going to hit it, but then you're just off a little bit, it's one of those things that could just be more frustrating rather than be something that feels like a good challenge, if you know what I mean. Like, better to put the challenge in other parts of the game. That's what I'm getting at. So yeah. Oh, okay, yeah. The game page did mention something about stacking. I didn't even realize. Oh, okay. Apparently we can also. I never would have even considered that would be a thing. So we can throw that. If I just tap it, it just puts it down. Yeah, it's a little bit slow with the way that you have to kind of hold the button down and wait for a little bit before you can pick the thing up. I mean, in terms of the controls, you could always consider, rather than having this control set up where it's either you press or you hold down the button to do different actions, you could use different inputs for that kind of thing. And it could be nice, to stack inputs. The sake of simplicity or whatever, it just seems elegant. But in terms of the actual gameplay, I think it'd probably be worth considering not doing that, because the net gain from using separate inputs is that you get much more responsive inputs. So if you want to do something that's action-y, then that could definitely be worthwhile. I'm assuming that there isn't actually like any kind of goal or anything currently that I can do here, and that this is pretty much all that's here, which is part of the reason why I'm just ranting on whatever I can come up with. Just not out of nowhere. I hope it's you know comes across as applicable to what's actually here. But I can only guess as to what the actual goal of the gameplay design is in the end. This is really interesting, though. I definitely like the idea of just being able to manipulate chunks of the environment like that. It's sort of Minecraft-esque in how sort of satisfying that is. So that's pretty cool. I don't know what the point of stacking things is. I guess the ball actually blocks this object. Hmm. Oh, so that might have kind of apparently that kind of bugged out, just forcing the ball into the corner here. I don't know if that's like inside of this or if it just like flew out of the world or something. Oh, look, there it is. I do notice that if you hold down the button and then like you don't like it goes into this throw mode, but if you decide that you want to cancel that, I don't think there's a way to do that. It looks like you can go in a different direction. So I can like if I go to throw in this way, it looks like I can sort of press different directions. I think yeah, that's a little weird. I don't know. Oh, okay. I see what's happening. So say I hold to the left and it's going to throw to the left. What I can do is I can press, say I press right now. If I press and hold L. Yeah, okay. So if I'm going to throw to the left and I press and hold L, I can change direction. But the problem is that it's just waiting to see whatever direction you let go of next. So say I want to go back to throwing to the left again. So I let go of L. I'm still holding down left and I'm holding down right at the same time right now. So if I hold down right again, then it just throws it because it's just waiting to see what I let go of rather than understanding that I'm still holding down another direction. And likewise, if I like say I'm holding left right now, and then if I press and hold right, now if I let go of left, it'll actually throw to the left because again, it's doing that. So better way to do that, in my opinion, is to look for the last input. So you have I, J, K, and L, and if any of them is being held down, you don't want to throw it yet. You want to wait for the last one to be released and then do the throw. And so the way to do this is to have like a stack. You can have like an array, and every time you press an input, it would go into the stack. Then whenever you let go of an input, it would just pull that out of the stack. And what that does is it kind of keeps track of what the last one you pressed down was, so that whenever you release one, it'll go back to the previously pressed down one, and that's a really kind of airtight way of handling this sort of thing. That works also for movement and everything, so it's a good way of doing things. Yeah, so see if I hold, now I'm talking about the directional input, the WASD. If I hold A to go left and then I hold D to go right, it just kind of cancels out. I can do diagonals fine, so that isn't that bad, but in my opinion, it's nicer if I'm holding left and then I press right. Like even if I'm holding both at the same time, because the right input was the last one I did, then in my opinion, it should go to the right. Let's start walking to the right, which again, like that thing I mentioned about having a stack, keeping track of the order of the inputs that they were pressed will allow you to do that. And so something that's good for is if you are going, it's just these little tiny timing things. So for example, if I'm just changing directions, I can do this fine. I mean, it's I'm used to this enough to not really make this kind of mistake probably in a noticeable way, but If I am changing directions like this, maybe there's like a couple frames where I'm pressing to the left, and then when I press to the right that I didn't let go of the left input yet, and so what'll happen is my character will just stick for maybe just a couple frames or something while I'm adjusting my fingers, and you can just avoid that and make everything a little bit snappier, more responsive by not doing that. So yeah, that was a lot of talking about very minute details. I don't know, again, why you would want to stack multiple things. Now, if I go into throw mode, then I walk into something, it stops going into throw mode. It's going to throw the bottom object, it looks like. So it doesn't throw all of them or anything. It does look like it's easy to accidentally pick up more than you want to. I don't know if there's a reason why you might not want to pick stuff up. Again, I don't know what the gameplay is intended to be, so looks like you can just kind of walk through a lot of stuff, which might not be what you want, so I don't know how you might want to handle that. Like maybe just have a slightly longer delay or something between being able to pick things up. Hard to say. But I guess maybe wrap this up. I don't know if there's anything else I can ramble on about that would actually be on topic here, so should probably wrap this up. I'm really curious about this. It is a really interesting sort of control scheme. Does look like it's a little bit funky with pushing the balls in corners like this. Yeah, it's cool just to be able to manipulate chunks of the environment so easily like that. It's pretty neat. Something a little weird just happened there. Yeah, okay, it looks like you can kind of say, so I'm holding up. If I walk into this, it's gonna grab it, right? I back down, but if I like kind of go sort of diagonally here and just sort of skim, you see how he kind of throws his arms up. I'm still holding down the I key, which is the up input on the right hand. And looks like he's about to grab, but then it kind of goes off to the side or something, or does that? Okay, yeah, looks like if I stay put, it'll do that. But yeah, just that little delay where he's still throwing his arms up and it doesn't grab yet. Looks like he can kind of go off and end up missing, which is a little weird. It makes me wonder, like, why is there a delay in the first place if it's already decided that it's going to grab? I would assume that if the game logic is already starting to do the grab, that it might as well just do it instantly. You know what I mean? Rather than throw the arms out first and then do it. Like, I don't really notice it too much in terms of it being slow, but it also just makes me wonder, like, what the point is of having an additional delay there for like a waiting for that input. So yeah, it's when you're talking about action games and stuff, all these little tiny minute delays and stuff really end up making a big difference. So it's all stuff worth paying attention to, in my opinion. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, that's quite easy once you get the hang of it, and like what the logic is behind the controls here. But yeah, I accidentally grabbed more than one of these. So in particular, it's kind of weird because like if I'm standing here and then I want to grab these blocks to my left, once I press the right or the left input here, start the grab, I'm waiting for like this chunk of time before it actually starts doing the grab. So I have this sort of downtime where I'm just waiting for it to register the input, but then once it does, it's like how quickly I can pick up the next block. It's kind of jarring, and it's really easy to do it accidentally. So I'm just thinking about picking up this one block. Like by the time I notice it actually is happening, it's like I've already picked up the second one. You know what I mean? So it's kind of wonky. I think that it's probably a good idea to it depends a little bit on the gameplay. If it's going to be actiony in particular, it's probably a good idea to try to reduce or eliminate those kinds of delays before the action comes out, as much as you can. And I would add more of a delay between actually picking up the next objects, like once you've picked up one object, then a little bit more of a delay before the next one is able to be picked up, because it seems like it's really easy to do it accidentally, which is probably not what you want here. So yeah, it feels a little weird, but pretty simple things to address. So yeah, it's really cool to just kind of move stuff around like this. I don't know what you'll actually be doing in the final game, but that's kind of cool. Maybe I could imagine if this was like a dodgeball type of thing and it was multiplayer or something, I could imagine you might like build yourself a little fort or something kind of in real time. Oops. Yeah, it's a little easy to do that kind of thing as well, where it's like you're throwing instead of placing, or maybe you start to throw and then you want to change your mind but you can't. So again, maybe it's a good idea to try to separate those inputs a little bit, like, and require another key, to like a modifier key or something, to start throwing, or whatever form that might take. But hopefully you get the idea. Yeah, hopefully this video was useful. Probably not very entertaining for average random person, but hopefully it's useful for the developer. And let me know if you have any questions. I'll see you in the next one.